Have you been to any growing cities in the United States? So, like, have
Yeah,
you been to
so
places like Miami
Miami.
or Austin or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
have.
do you see them as are they going to grow in the long term, or is this merely they're getting people who are just fleeing,
It's
you know, bad parts of America who will end up going elsewhere?
it's hard to say, but I am tentatively bullish on them. Uh, However, it's something where um, I think where I'm interested in is the subnational and the international.
Hmm.
Meaning, the subnational is Wyoming and Texas and Miami and actually
Hmm.
Colorado. Jared Police, a Democrat there, but it's very pro
Yeah.
crypto, right? Um, and I'm also bullish on the international. You know,
Hmm.
UAE, Thailand, Singapore, a lot of these countries are now implementing programs for talented immigration. And in fact, the US, there's a graph. I think BCG put together a graph on this, but the U.S. is no longer the top destination that immigrants want to come to. It's actually
Hmm.
Canada's number one. And then what's risen into the top 10 overnight is Japan, Australia, Singapore, and New Zealand. And
Hmm.
a lot of European countries have fallen out of the top 10. And part of the reason I would argue for that is that most of the world economies go to Asia, and these are sort of Western-friendly countries in Asian time zones or in Asia itself, Japan's Asia proper, where
Hmm.
you can do business and so on, right?
Is
So
that also because they are making immigration easier? I mean, the United
yes,
States has a terrible immigration policy, both for, low skilled workers, but also high skilled
yes,
workers. Canada makes it easier. And I, because this goes to the question of Singapore, is kind of a great place to live, especially if you're a high wage or a high skilled immigrant. But if you are at all a kind of social deviant, and you don't have cultural or political capital there, maybe you don't want to live there.
yeah. I mean, the way I think about it, U.S. immigration policy is anarcho-tyrannical. It's actually like San Francisco. You know, um, San Francisco is optimized for the drug trafficker. American immigration
Mhm.
policy is optimized for the human trafficker. Haha. Okay. So what I mean by that is like, in San Francisco, you have something where um, the working class guy who's driving an Uber is hit with a $200 ticket, but the guy who like smashes his window, nothing happens to
Mhm.
him, right?
Mhm.
So that's the tyranny and the anarchy. And American immigration policy is like that, where you have kind of a lawless situation where you have like these scenes at the border and so on, but you also have something where those folks who obey the law are hit with insane levels of regulations, 10-year delays on visas,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth, right? And I do actually believe in a skilled, talented, organized immigration policy, which it's kind of like a company, right? If you're hiring, the right answer is usually not hire no one or hire everyone. It is
Mhm.
hire in a conscious and determined and forthright and intelligent way, right? That is
Yeah.
actually what these other countries that I mentioned do. They're looking for wealth, but they're also looking for talent. You know,
Mhm.
not just people who've made their fortune, but who are high potential. Maybe they're in the arts or stuff like that. So this may not have made the news or may not have seen this, but for example, Thailand now has a new program where you can apply online at Thailand's website, and they're looking for 1 million people over the next 5 years to come and move to Thailand. They basically, at first, they
Mhm.
were a lot of digital nomads went to Thailand, and the Thai government was like mad at them. But now they've leaned into it, and they're like, you know
Right.
what? We've got these amazing beaches. We've got this amazing internet now. It's massively
Mhm.
undervalued globally. A lot of people want to come here. Guess what? We're going to do a 10-year pass. You have to fill out this rigorous application. We want 1 million people over the next 5 years. That's 200,000
Mhm.
people a year. That's on the order of 1,000-ish, 500 to 1,000-ish people a day. Okay, which means they'll get 10x more than that probably in applications. Okay,
Mhm.
so they are going to be able to pull in a lot of folks who could not come to the U.S. because the visa delays or crazy things that are happening, right?
Mhm.
Or don't want to come to the U.S.
Right.
And the UAE has programs like this. Singapore has something new called the One Pass, and then within the US, you have Miami and Austin and so on competing. So this sort of thing where all the talent and so on came to SF,
Mhm.
and that is now suddenly inverted, where
Right.
it's redistributing within the US and outside the US. People are not only
Mhm.
leaving, they're not coming in the first place, they're picking other destinations. And I think this is net good. And the reason is, look, I mean, San Francisco is a catastrophe, but the decentralization of tech around the world is a good thing because
Right.
you don't want it all concentrated in one place, in one state, in one country, which is
Yeah.
vulnerable to regulations, and
Yeah,
people
you
have
want a more
groupthink.
resilient network, and
Yes,
it's good for the planet, right? It's good for human civilization. It may
yes,
not be great for the United States, and
or
of
some
course the
parts of
United, yeah, and the United States, of course, can change its immigration policy if
it. Right.
we've defaulted into, just a horrible kind of semi-closed borders
It's
situation,
it's a
which,
worst of both worlds policy, right?
yeah.
In my view. Go ahead.